I'm John Harry with the Friends of Oak Hill Chapel. I was first came into the group when they found out that I had the organ that was originally in this chapel 50 some years ago. I was worker out here, and I found out they were possibly going to get rid of the organ, and so I was able to buy it for $5. A real good bargain even in those days. The scene that you can see behind me is some of the fellows working on the northeast quarter of the chapel roof, re-roofing it. We're into the shingling stage, and as you can see, they're making pretty good progress. We've got a good group here. These fellows are all roofers. I stay down on the ground because of my age.
My name is Robert Sass. I'm with S&S Enterprise of Janesville, LLC. I was actually in the cemetery visiting a friend when a friend of the chapel came down and informed us of the project that was going on here. We felt it was a great project. I contacted all the guys that work for me, and they all said they loved it and they wanted to volunteer their time to help out with this project. So that's kind of how we got started with this. The project started out as the first phase was actually to pull off all the old shingles, get us down to the decking, and repair any poor decking that was underneath there. I'm going to be honest, we got very lucky for a 100-and-some-year-old building. There was one small spot we had to replace. Then what we did is what's called double decking. We actually run 2x4s over the roof, and you can see a little bit of that right now, creating an air gap on the bottom. Run the plywood over the top so we can get some ventilation up there to keep our shingles to last longer and keep them in better shape. Then the next step is we run grace across the bottom, which is an ice and water shield. We run a synthetic above it, gives it all the protection so no water can get through. Then we lay our shingles. All the way up the sides is what's called step flashing, small metal piece of flashing that's used to make sure that the water can't go up. Then we're going to put a piece of counter flash over the top to hide it to make it look pretty. That's what we have to do on this church.
As you can see, they're pretty well coming up the roof all right. It's going to be a couple, 3 days of shingling, I would estimate. After that, we'll start in. We've still got some of the old mortar to pick out between the stone. The stone is very nice and hard. The mortar has quite a bit of it's gone bad, but we'll get that chipped out and get new mortar in. Lon Copeland will be going back in to finish cleaning out the mortar joints, and then tuck point all the stone. Any deep shadows you see in those joints is where the old mortar has been cleaned out or fallen out, mostly cleaned out. But we're making a lot of progress on that. We should easily, I would say, we should easily be through tuck pointing before cold weather. I'm going out a limb on that, but Lon is doing an excellent job on that. A lot of the mortar, when you first start in on it, it has a hard surface to it. It is deteriorated. The inside has turned very soft, the mortar in the joints. So that has to be cleaned out. And then of course Lon will come through, clean it all out real good, clean the stone off. With the black streaks that you see on the stone up there are all, I don't know, just pollution and stuff like that. It needs to be cleaned off. That'll be power washed with chemicals. Whiten up the stone again. If you notice the stone around the front entrance, that's been under where the porch used to be. So we get a very good look at what the stone looked like when it was new. The porch was put on like, about 12 years after the chapel was built. So it's giving us a good idea what the chapel looked like, at least in about 1912, when they built the porch on. Possibly someday we hope to restore a new porch on there, but it would be made out of stone to match in with the rest of the chapel. But that's a project way into the future. We still have what we call phase one, which is the roofing, the mortar work for the joints. We also have a smaller back door than what you see in the front. That has to be made handicap accessible. We do have a basement shed covers the door and the old stone steps. All of that part of it is going to be removed. We'll have new steps put in. We're going to have a new the low profile, if you want to call it that, roof or cover over the basement steps. That all has to be done yet. The city of Janesville has been very good about coming in with contributions. We're asking, please don't stop yet.
I think this is a fantastic project. I would love to see more people in our community get a little bit more involved in it. And the beautiful part is, whether you are in the trades or not, your help is still greatly needed. The other day we had a nurse, a banker, and an HR person here helping out. It was fantastic. So my suggestion is, if you have some free time, please contact the Friends of Oak Hill Chapel. Let them know how you can help them, or just that you would love to help them. They'll put you on a list, and when the time comes up to need that help, they'll give you a holler.
Don't feel shy about coming in and asking, what can you do? We're glad to have you. The group is small that we have. We can always use more people. We do have some real talented people. If nothing else, they can show you some new tricks of the trade here. They're showing me new things every time.